Hello, 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 everyone, and welcome to Lessons in Savvy Living. This is your place, your space where you can get fed and not the type of eating that I've been doing a lot of during this COVID crisis. But what we want to do is we want to have a place where women can learn and can connect and be inspired. So I am so happy to have my guest here today. My guest is Tonya Franklin. And so, Tanya, we're going to go ahead and get started with my first question that I ask everyone. What are three things that people should know about you, Tanya?
Okay. One thing about me is that I'm a natural introvert. Um, Initially, I'm like really quiet and reserved, but once I have a moment to warm up and get to know people, you usually can't shut me up. So
Okay.
that's one thing about me. Another is that I love people, love helping people, um, and seeing them win. I am like a huge cheerleader for the underdog. Um, Another thing about me is that I'm a dreamer.
Mm,
That's something that I've always been as a small child. I've always envisioned myself being in different places, doing different things, thinking outside of the box. I've always been considered as the child that everybody laughed at because they were like, "That's so weird." Nobody
mhm,
thinks like that but you.
mhm.
So I've always been a dreamer.
Okay, wonderful. So that's actually going to lead to my next question is the
Okay.
topic today is starting a business and particularly starting a business over 40. Now, first of all, I want to know, do you qualify? Because you look pretty young. I don't know
I
if
I
you are over
do.
40. Okay. All
I'm well qualified.
Okay, I don't know. That moisturize, you must be moisturizing that country water you putting on your face or something. All right, I know.
Yeah, I do. I qualify. I'm over 40. I'm leaning on to the other side, over
Oh
there to the
Lord.
50 side. So
Okay.
I'm getting close to that end of the spectrum. Um, so yes.
Well, good, good, because I was going to get your ID and everything out, but I'll believe you. I believe you. So, so the question is, and in our current state of affairs, as we are filming this, as we're recording this, it's the
Mhm,
middle of the COVID-19 crisis, the global pandemic. And a
mhm,
lot of people are trying to reconnect with their dreams. You mentioned dreams and goals. And on one hand, some of us find ourselves having a little bit more time than we're used to having. On the other hand,
mhm.
some of us start to feel kind of guilty, like, well, I have this time. What should I do? I don't know. Should I be productive, or is it okay to kind of relax? I don't know. So I'm interested in hearing your story and kind of how things evolve for you, because I know a lot of people, a lot of women are trying to, during this time, trying to reflect to see whether or not starting a business is something that would fit well for them in their life and their lifestyle. So, what's your story behind starting a business over 40?
Well, I've been in the position of being thrown curveballs. Because actually, I started my business when I was 40.
Oh,
I was in a position where I was working for a huge corporate insurance company. And we were put in the position where we were downsizing. And so he ended up having to shut down one of his offices. And he was like, well, until we can find, another office, I'm just going to have you work from home, because he had a satellite office and he still needed someone to manage that. So I was kind of like working from home, managing the other office, even though my local office was shut down.
mhm,
And then it was like, he was like, well, things are still not looking good financially for us. And he ended up calling me. Because I was actually working remotely from places like McDonald's,
mm,
the library, wherever. And I was on my way to my quote unquote office one morning, and he calls me. He's like, I've been trying to call you all morning, you know? And I was like, yeah, I was dropping the kids off at school because I had my children late in life. So, you know, I'm like, 39, 40 ish, and, still having to take care of small children.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, well, don't worry about doing the reports and emails today. And I was like, okay. And he says, because I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep you, because I just don't have the money right now. And it
Oh,
was kind of like, boom, it just kind of hit me like, what do I do now?
right.
So I can relate, that you're being put in a position that you didn't really see coming. um, you're facing, the uncertainty, and you're looking at, okay, I've invested so much into this, and now it's like I'm feeling like I have to start all over.
Right.
I've been in a position of feeling lost,
Mm.
um, in jumping into this generation, this tech savvy generation, full of these young minds, young energy. And it's like, okay, where do I fit in? I recall there were times where I was like, okay, I got into virtual assisting, because I was like, shoot, I'm doing that now,
Mm-hmm.
and so I said, I would love to have more control, more time to be available for my kids, because they were starting to get up in age. My kids, especially my oldest daughter, was getting involved in a lot of different things in school. And it was like, Mom, I need you to take me here. I need you to go do
Mm-hmm.
this. I need you to, support me in this. So I was looking at the time management, and also being able to have more control over my finances. So I said, okay, I'm already working from home, this will be perfect. Not knowing that I was jumping into a whole brand new world, a
Oh,
whole brand new industry of virtual business and working remotely. It was totally different. And so,
wow.
some of the
So,
things that I had to train for, I was like, I'm too old for this. I'm like,
oh
my
my
brain
gosh.
cells, my brain cells, not capturing this. And it was really a reality check for me, because even though sometimes you don't feel as old as you really are, but then you're put in a position to where you have to rely on certain parts of you, especially mentally,
Mm-hmm.
that you're realizing that it's not like it was when you was 20 and 25.
Wow, that's so interesting, Tanya, that you talk about this, and you had to do this by yourself. I think about
Mhm.
all of the people around the world who are logging into Zoom for the first time, or having
Right.
these teleconferences for the first time. And
Mhm.
so I think a lot of people today have the benefit of the fact that everybody's learning together. But when you jumped in there, it was just you saying, I don't know what's going on. So you had
Right.
to kind of teach yourself how to do things. And so you were a pioneer of sorts when it came to the virtual world.
Yeah, it was, it was, there was so many things that I didn't have a clue existed. I was like, oh, okay, start a business. Oh, okay, I know I need a website. I was like, that's a no-brainer. I know I need that. And I was already, sort of on social media. And so I didn't realize the importance of it. And so I was like, oh, okay, I'll just set up something. And and then I said, well, okay, get in a couple of groups, and all of the information, it was just so overwhelming. And then I got into this headspace where I was like, oh wow, all of these ladies, they're my age, but they've been doing this
Mm-hmm.
for a while. So it's like I just kind of felt like a fish out of water.
Mm.
I felt, overwhelmed, and I was looking at the fact that, maybe I'm just too old to do this. Maybe maybe it's too late, for me to start to pursue those dreams. So I can definitely relate to the mental crunch, and having that reality check when you're looking in the mirror and you're realizing, you're looking like, whoa, you know I don't feel like I'm 45, 46.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's like when you're jumping into this fast-paced technology world that we live in, and you're trying to start a business, things that I was taught about starting a business 20 years ago doesn't really apply. Some of
Right.
those things don't apply in 2020. So it was definitely an eye opener for me, to be able to have to sit and do that and take that reality check.
Okay, so this is interesting. So because you're saying a lot of the things that I know many people feel.
Hmm.
So a lot of people have had dreams, they had goals that they were kind of thinking of pursuing when they were younger. It just kind of got pushed aside for whatever reason, and then
Right.
they think, "Well, I can't get into that world now. It's that all that technology, all that stuff. I want to do it, but the time is maybe just kind of passed me by."
Right.
So it,
Right.
it sounds like that you actually thought some of those things, but it sounds like you kind of overcame it, and then
Yes.
you came on the other side. So what was your area? So was it virtual, being a VA, being a
Yes,
virtual
that's
assistant?
actually how it started. Was being a VA, because I was actually looking for an admin position. I was looking for another job because I wore different several hats for my boss. I was actually hired to be an administrative assistant, but he forego hiring an office manager, and he was like, well, you have experience with that, so I need you to do that. Then he said, well, I need you to hire me someone to handle our quality. And so we had someone from corporate to come, and he says, well, Tonya can do that and I can train her. So I pretty much was wearing all of those hats. And so that's the type of job that I was actually looking for. And I came across virtual assistant. And I was like, well, what is that?
Mhm,
And so I did some research on it, and I was like, shoot, I'm doing that now, you
mhm,
know? And so
mhm,
that's like kind of how it started. And over the course, because I've rebranded, and I started to just really just nail down on what it is that I wanted to do,
mhm,
where I felt comfortable, where did I fit in. I've had people to tell me that some of the things that I wanted to do, they were like, that's not what a virtual assistant does. You can't do that.
mhm.
And I'm the type of person that you tell me no, I'm getting ready to show you, that it can be done. So that's how it started out, is just being a general virtual assistant. And it has grown for me to do other things virtually.
Well, now that's amazing, and that's a word. Let me just stop you right here, because this is what I got from that segment that you just gave. You took what you already knew
Hmm.
and then you applied it in a different way. And I think
Yes.
that's what stops a lot of us,
Yes.
because sometimes it's just kind of doing a little bit of digging.
Hmm.
Because if you've made it to 40 something, you've got some life experience.
Yes.
You
Yes,
many of
indeed.
most of us have worked in some capacity. It's trying to figure out kind of what do you enjoy doing, what
Hmm.
are you good at, and trying to kind of figure that piece out. So okay, this is good. I take notes now when I'm listening. So I'm listening to this. All right. So you found out virtual assistant was a thing,
Hmm.
and so that's how you started. But then, how did things evolve from there?
Um, I realized that it wasn't as easy as I thought it was going to be. And I failed a number of times, and I got right back into that discouragement. And one day I was doing some work for another VA, actually, and I came across a quote. I came across this quote from Congresswoman Shirley Chisholm,
Mm,
that says that if they don't give you a seat at the table, that you bring in a folding chair. And when I saw that, it was like the light bulb just came on for me. It was like that was my encouragement, that was my motivation, that I had to get out of my own way, stop looking at being over 40 as something that was negative and something that was a hindrance to me growing in my dream, but look at it as a positive. Look at it as that, now you're able to offer something that a 20-year-old VA
Mm-hmm.
doesn't have, which is wisdom, you
Right.
know. So I had to learn how to take the negative and turn it into a positive. And seeing that quote, that was the catalyst for me to be able to change. I worked with a couple of other VAs, and they were always coming to me about different things that was going on in their business. I've always been a transparent entrepreneur. I don't do the social media celebrity thing where I make everything look glitz and glam. I let people know. And so I was talking to a young lady, and she was saying, "Girl, she said, why don't you go into consulting?" And I was like, "I'm not doing that."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Who can I consult?" I'm over here struggling with beans and rice over here. I was like, and it got to the point to where I had more people that were in my inbox, and they were asking me questions, and they were
That's right.
saying, "Hey, I saw that you were talking about this in this group." And so it was like the light bulb came back on, like, hello,
Yes, right.
hello, this is the folding chair that you need to be bringing to the table.
Mm.
Quit trying to fit in with what everybody else is doing.
Come
And
on now.
so I revisited that, because I tried to go back to school, because I said, well, maybe going back to school is the answer. And even though I had a stellar GPA, I was told that I would have to start all over again.
Right.
And I said, what? I was like,
Right.
do you all have any clue of the struggle to get that 3.8? And so I
Right.
said, you know what, that's not going to work. And
Mm-hmm.
so I was just sitting, and I was just thinking. And once again, that quote came back to me. And so it was like, you want to get into marketing, you want to get into PR, start your own virtual PR firm. Do
Come
it.
on now. You
Do
just
it.
that folding chair.
The
You just
folding chair. Do it.
got it. You sat down
Yeah, and
and you
that's what I
said,
did. And I started mapping out everything, and I was like, okay, now how's this going to work? Never done this before, never seen anybody do this before. How is this going to work? And I just said, the same way you research doing a business, period. You
right.
know, use those same foundational tools. And then you take your creativity, your dream, and you plug it in and insert. And so that's what I started doing. And now that's mainly what I do with my business, with my virtual business. I do not, I'd say 85% of what I do in my virtual business is marketing and PR now.
Wow. Isn't that something?
And I recently, I added consulting in 2000 well, officially 2019. I played with it in
Mm-hmm.
2018, but I had a lot of people telling me, Tonya, this is what you need to do. You need to do this. And so this first quarter, my consulting brand of my business has started to explode.
Mm.
So I was like, okay, this is where I am. This is the season. I'm taking advantage of it. And I'm learning how to mold all of those pieces together to solidify my brand and my place in business after 40.
Wow. Let me tell you what else I heard you say. I heard you say that you are connected with good people,
Yes.
because evidently somebody has been encouraging you,
Oh,
and saying,
yes.
hey, here's what you should do. Talk to me about that. How are you finding these people? It's not your mama and
Oh,
them
wow.
and your cousin
Oh,
and them.
no. Oh,
So
no.
so who are these folks? How do you find them? How do you get them in your corner?
I wish it was my family, but they're the most hesitant to support. And once I got over that little minor heartbreak,
Mm-hmm.
um, and what I started doing was that I started seeking out people that understood where I was, understood the position that I was in. Um, and I started having conversations with people. Sometimes I would just ask questions. or if somebody else asked a question, I would say, I understand, I get it, I'm going through the same thing. And then they were like, well, can I inbox you because I really need to talk to somebody about this? And I'm like, sure. And I never came from the standpoint that, oh, I got this all together. I
Uh-huh.
came from the standpoint that I understand, I get it. You have somebody that understands you. You
Mhm.
don't have to do this alone. I tried the accountability partner thing, and it was always one-sided. And
Mm,
so I was like, I'm like, I need somebody to pour into me.
right.
And so I just said, I'm just going to scrap that model
Mhm.
and just do it the old fashioned way, sitting down over a cup of tea or a cup of coffee and just talking. And
Yeah.
in the midst of that, you develop a relationship to where you become accountable to one another. Because it's like, wow, well, girl, last week you were talking about doing, A, B, and C, so what's the status on that? Have you got anything done? And before you know it, you have forged a relationship with people. And relationships are so, so, so key and important to be able to make it in this business, whether you're 18, whether you're 25, 30, or 45 or 46 or 60. You have to have relationships, people that not only you see them as, okay, I can have them as a stepping stone to be able to grow in my business, but people that are on the ground floor with you, that understand, that get it.
Right.
That where there's, I always tell people this all the time, no judgment zone. When I do my consulting, I'm like, please don't come to my
Mhm.
sessions trying to be politically correct. If you don't know something, just say, I have no clue what you're talking about.
Right.
I'm like, be real and honest, because I said, I can work with you if you're honest, because I get it. I get it. I understand. I've been in the position. I've been to where in the position where it's like, I really want to do this, but I have no clue on how to get started. I have no clue. I don't have any money. I don't have any support. I don't have an office. I'm working in my car and I'm sitting in front of McDonald's or Burger King and using their
Mhm.
Wi-Fi. I've been there. I've done that. And so, having relationships, having that, some people call it a tribe, having that, it doesn't have to be a whole lot of people. It doesn't have to be somebody that's, making 6 7 figures. It can be people that are like right there on the ground floor with you, that understand and get it.
So kind of like a mastermind, a group of
Yes.
colleagues. Okay, so
Yes.
relationships are very important.
Oh
And
yes.
and you really brought home the idea that that wisdom and that experience, that actually is such an asset that we as women especially sometimes discount in
Hmm.
terms of well, I just don't know. I start a business, I don't know how to do anything. I don't have anything to offer. I'm like, wait a
Right.
minute, haven't you been didn't you raise 6 children? Do you know how to help them get their chores done? Didn't you? I saw your organizational system, it's off the
Hmm.
charts. Something
Hmm.
something that you find easy that other people are like, oh, I sure would like some help with this. So
Right.
it's amazing. This is really really inspirational. And let me tell you also, Tanya, you brought that Shirley Chisholm quote before our interview. I was watching a movie, right? And the episode was called what? Shirley. It's all about her and her run for president in 1972. So I was just like, did she just bring up? I was just watching the. So, okay. You don't have to hit me with a lightning bolt. So that is an interesting coincidence. Boom.
Tied it all in there together.
Tied it all together. Tied it all together.
Yes.
Wow, wonderful. So, what would you say is your biggest lesson that you would share with
Woo.
someone in terms of starting a business after 40?
Hmm. One thing that I would say is, don't give up.
Oh, okay.
Don't give up. Even it, don't look at it as a negative that you're 40, over 40. Don't look at it, oh, I'm just too old to do this. if you dream it, write
Mm.
it, make it clear, and run with it.
Okay,
you,
come
you know
on
you
now.
have you
Mm.
have those you have those innate skills already inside of you. Nobody has to teach you to do those things.
Mm.
Those things are already planted inside of you. You already have the things that you need to move forward, to get started. And so I would say don't give up, even when you fail. I was looking at a film a while ago, about these two brothers, and they were starting a business, and they had like this big goal, this big dream, but they didn't have a lot of money. They weren't what you would consider as super smart or business savvy, but they had a dream, and they didn't give up. And even when, like, the first year they didn't make a lot of money, they were actually like trying to get people to donate money to them so that they could pay their bills, but they did not give up even when they failed. And that was a big thing that I had to learn, that even when I failed, don't say, oh, it's time to throw in the towel. It's time to learn from your mistakes, grow from them, use those that failure as like stepping stones so that you can know what to do better the next time.
Oh my goodness, that perseverance.
Yes.
That's the word I think of when I hear you talk. And I also hear, boy, when you gonna get your life coach certification? Because you know, I tell you what, that or
Here
either
you
being a
go.
preacher or preaching. I don't know, because I don't know. I'm gonna go outside and run 5 miles. That's what I'm gonna do after talking to you. I think I have been inspired. So I mean, that if people want to talk with you, Tonya, if they want to connect with you, if they want to be inspired by you, how can they find you? Where would they find you online?
Okay. They can find me on Facebook, Tonya Franklin, or they can connect with me on my business page at MJS Virtual Collaborative Services. I'm also on Instagram, MJS underscore virtual. And they can also find me on my website, and that is a bit.ly link. And it's MJS, that's all uppercase, capital V in virtual, and capital C in collaborative.
Okay, wonderful. Now, and also let me spell your name out because Tanya can be spelled many different ways.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
so it's TonyA in
That's
case you're
correct.
listening to this and you're not watching the video. If you're listening to this on iTunes or Stitcher, it's Tony Franklin.
That's correct.
Okay. All right. Now, are you sure they're gonna be able to find you on Facebook? Seems like there'll be a lot of Tanya Franklins, but I
Oh,
guess.
they'll know me. They'll find me because they'll see in my bio it has my business names in the
Oh,
link there, so
that
they'll be
that's a
able to.
that's a good tip. That's a good PR tip, right?
That's right.
So, well, thank you so much, Tanya. This has been
Thank
a
you for having me.
delightful conversation. You have really, you've exceeded my expectations. I said, okay, well, this will be a good, a good talk, and I'll get some information. I'm like, yes, I'm inspired. Let me go and work on my business plan and talk to you after this recording's over, so I can get my PR life together. So, I really appreciate you saying yes and agreeing to appear on Lessons in Savvy Living.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's always an opportunity to come and just connect with other women that are doing things to empower our communities. And I'm always for stuff like that. And I just thank you for saying yes to me.
Oh, no problem. So, all right, everyone, that's it for this episode in Lessons in Savvy Living. Until next time, stay savvy. Bye.